question.
Question number 12, Grant Robertson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister responsible for the GCSB. Did GCSB Director Ian Fletcher attend the 3 briefings he received from the GCSB in February 2012? If not, which, if any, of these briefings did Ian Fletcher attend?
Right Honourable John Key.
Mr Speaker, I'm advised that Ian Fletcher was present on the 3 occasions I met with GCSB in February 2012.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Noting his previous statements that he is not briefed on operational matters by the GCSB, was he briefed on the outcomes of GCSB operations at his 24 February meeting?
Right Honourable John Key.
Mr Speaker, not on the advice I have of the notes of that meeting.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Given that answer, what are the meetings he has with the GCSB about?
Well,
Right
Mr Speaker,
John
it's not my normal practice to answer those detailed, but because the member is so prone to conspiracy theories, the director came to me to sign a warrant and I signed it on the 24th.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Given that the GCSB received an email from police on 22 February 2012 that indicated that the 3 targets of the .com surveillance were New Zealand residents and therefore the surveillance was in breach of GCSB rules, doesn't he think Ian Fletcher should have informed him of that at his meeting 2 days later?
Right Honourable John Key.
Mr Speaker, no. The correct process was that the situation in terms of the legality of the actions that GCSB had undertaken in relation to Operation Debut needed to be clarified. They went to their Chief Legal Advisor. Chief Legal Advisor advised them that it was legal. As we all know, that was actually wrong.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
What role, if any, did he play in recommending the appointment of Ian Fletcher as Director of GCSB?
Right Honourable John Key.
Mr Speaker, his appointment was made by the State Services Commissioner, but if the member is trying to make some other allegation, yes, I knew Ian Fletcher. I went to school with his brother. His brother was way brighter than Grant Robertson, I'll tell you what.
And that answer does not assist the order of the House.
To question, Mr Speaker.
Order. A point of order will be heard in silence.
Mr Speaker, 6 times yesterday you ruled against the Prime Minister.
Order. Would the member please
6 times yesterday you ruled against the Prime Minister for making comments which were out of order, at least. Mr Speaker, earlier when the Right Honourable Winston Peters made an out of order comment, he was required to withdraw. You have never done that to the Prime Minister, and I just want to know, is it going to be even both ways?
Order. Speaking to the point of order, Right Honourable John Key.
Mr Speaker, I can't be expected to withdraw that Grant Robinson's not as bright as Alistair Fletcher. He's
Order.
not.
Order. Listen. Order. 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 The Prime Minister addressed the question and then added a remark that was not helpful to the order of the House. I moved immediately to stop him. I have now moved on. Does the member have a further supplementary? Point of order, Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Are you going to deal with the
Order.
With the wasting of time? You did not deal with the Prime Minister.
Order. I have dealt with the matter. I have dealt. Order. The member will stand and withdraw for that comment.
I withdraw.
Thank you.
What if...
Point of order, Dr. Russell Norman.
Mr Speaker, you ruled that the Prime Minister's comment was out of order. He then used the point of order process to repeat it, clearly in breach of your ruling and trying to overturn your authority here. I ask you, you must ask the Prime Minister to withdraw that comment, because otherwise he is completely in breach of your ruling.
I'm happy to... I accept that point. I ask the member, the Prime Minister, to withdraw that comment, but I'm not addressing any further the issue of his earlier answer. Would the Prime Minister withdraw that?
Speaker, I withdraw.
Thank you. Is it a fresh?
It is, Mr. Speaker.
Good. We'll
and
hear
it is a suggestion that in future you listen to a point of order and you would have heard exactly the one that Russell Norman made.
I listen very intently to points of order. I listen... Order! 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 I remind members of the gallery that's here watching the proceedings of this Parliament. Order! I listen very intently. I don't always hear them accurately because of the level of background noise in this chamber. Now, does the... Right Honourable Winston Peters.
You saw fit earlier today to threaten not to allow any more questions by me today. Now, the Prime Minister, for the 7th time in 2 days, repeated his offence. I heard no such threat from you with respect to his ability to take part in this House in terms of question time. And I want to know why he did not receive a similar threat. Because
I would have thought it was extremely obvious to the member that if other members want to ask the Prime Minister any question, they expect an answer. Has the member... No, we're not taking any... We're not doing... further points of order on this.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
If it's a fresh point of order, I'll entertain it. But if it's a continuation of the other, then I will be asking the member to leave the chamber. So if it's a fresh point of order...
Yes, it's an absolutely fresh point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Fresh point of order...
The point of order is whether you have rewritten standing orders or Speaker's rulings. Mr. Speaker, sit down till I'm finished. Goodness sake.
The member will now leave the chamber. The member will leave the chamber. Point of order, Chris Hipkins.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. I wonder if you could clarify for the House what the point of order Trevor Mallard was going to raise was, because we hadn't heard it.
Well, I had determined very quickly that it was a relitigation of the matters that have been raised. I have so ruled. Now, does the member have further supplement? Is it a fresh point of order?
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
If it is a fresh point of order, I will entertain it. Otherwise, I will deal with the
Mr. Speaker, I'm now going to raise with you the point of order that Mr. Mallard was going to raise, which you didn't allow him to raise.
No, that is now relitigating.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
The member
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
The member will now leave the chamber. Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr. Speaker, I seek leave for the Labor Party to be given a chance for their point of order in the name of Mr. Mallard to be put.
Well, I don't know whether it's appropriate for the member to seek leave on behalf of another party, but to clear the matter up, we'll put the leave that the Right Honourable Winston Peters has put. Is there any objection? There is. Now, has the member got further supplementary questions?
Supplementary question, Mr. Speaker.
Further... Point of order.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like you to rule on the question of referring to members of the gallery in debate or in the House, because that is what you did as Speaker, referred to who was in the gallery. That is not something that we are allowed to do as members of the House, because it is against standing orders to refer to the gallery and that influencing behaviour in the House.
And I appreciate that point the member's making. She's quite right. It's not appropriate for members to refer to people in the gallery, but the member might like to note my opening remarks at the start of Parliament when I specifically referred to members in the people in the gallery and invited the House to greet them. Further supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Supplementary question, Mr. Speaker. In light of the Prime Minister's answer to the last supplementary question, where he introduced the nature of his relationship with Ian Fletcher, can he enlighten the House as to whether he's had further contact with Mr. Fletcher since their school days, perhaps in London?
Right Honourable John Key.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I can't recall particular occasions. I'm sure I may well have done so. What I can say, if the member wants to know, is my mother was best friends with Ian Fletcher's mother. If that makes a conspiracy, fair enough.
That brings question time to a conclusion. Would some honourable member care to move that the House take note of miscellaneous business?
Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Judith Collins.
Oh, thank
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Well, Mr Speaker, yesterday Patrick Gower from TV3 said that the Prime Minister owned Mr Shearer yesterday. Well, today we saw him not being owned, only being owned, but we also saw Mr Robertson being owned over and over again. So Mr Robertson's best theory is now that Mr Key's mother knew Mr Fletcher's mother. Well, golly gosh, I didn't know that was against the law yet in New Zealand. But fantastic sort of indication to do. Now, poor old Mr Robinson, if you want to know what Mr Robinson's really trying to do, we just have a look at Eddie on the Standard. It's a left-wing blog site that Trans Tasman's talked about today. And what it tells us is what's really going on in the Labour Party and why it is that Mr Shearer is being set up day in, day out to ask the Prime Minister about whether or not he stands by his statements. And why is it that he doesn't want to talk about his statements? Because he's got bank statements, and Mr Little's an angry little man. He's an angry little man. And that's...
Would the member Andrew Little lower the tone of his interjection so at least I can hear the member?
Thank you, Mr